Hello, Jason here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a book review of a horror novel. It's a vampire novel. It's called Live Girls by Ray Garton. This is the first Ray Garton book that I've ever read, and I enjoyed it. It was very good. So this book came out in 1987, and it was nominated for a Bram Stoker Award that year. Or 88, I think, and it got beat by Stephen King's Misery and also Robert McCammon's Swan Song. There was two winners that year, so that's odd. I don't know how often that happens, if it ever happens. It happened then, but yeah. And those books are both excellent. So I can. It was, that was pretty stiff competition. I can't imagine that anyone would say that this book is better than both of those. Not to say that this book isn't good, because it is, but those books are amazing. So anyway, yeah, this book is really fun. It was a very entertaining, quick read. I think I read it in like 3 days or something. And it's not terribly long. It was like, 250 pages or something like that. So it goes by pretty quick. It was well written. Ray Garton is a good writer. I do want to read more of his stuff. I've heard there's a werewolf novel that he wrote called Ravenous that I've heard is pretty good. There's a sequel to this book that I can't remember what it's called, but it came out in like 2005, so it's quite a bit later. He wrote it 20 years after. So I'll probably read that at some point. His first novel is called Seductions. That apparently is pretty good. So yeah, I'm on the lookout for some more Ray Garton. If you guys have read any of his stuff and have any suggestions to where I should go or what books are good, let me know in the comments. That'd be great. So anyway, this book, Live Girls, it's about a sex peep show place in New York, basically, that's run by vampires. Yeah, and gosh, New York City in the 80s must have been a hellhole, because man, every book that I've ever read of that's set in that time in New York it just describes the place as just dirty, homeless people everywhere, trash everywhere, prostitutes and sex shops, and like that's just what it was. And it makes me I wonder how much of that is exaggeration or if it actually was really like that back then. So anyway, so I think that's an interesting backdrop to the whole story, is just this like really just crappy, dirty city where all kinds of things go on that like people don't talk about really. So anyway, so the story is this guy, his name's Davey. He is kind of he's described as being spineless, and he kind of just like lets people take advantage of him and whatever. He's got a crappy job that he doesn't like, that he's not gonna advance in. He's got a girlfriend who treats him like shit, cheats on him, comes and goes as she pleases, and then all this, and then he's not respected by his coworkers. His life kind of sucks. It doesn't suck. It's not that bad. He just lets people kind of walk all over him, and then so his girlfriend leaves him. She's like, you suck. I don't like you. I'm gonna go. So she leaves, which is actually a good thing in my opinion. He's sad about it, but he's better off. And then he goes to work that day, and he's all bummed out and whatever. And yeah, so then after his girlfriend leaves him, he goes to this peep show place. It's called Live Girls, in Times Square. He goes there and he has a little dance. The girl that's in the booth is like super, super hot. He gives her the tokens or whatever, and she like, she like pulls his arm through, and like he's like feeling her up and stuff, and he's like, oh man, is this like illegal? Or is this prostitution stuff? Am I gonna get busted? Anyway, that's just his inner thoughts that he's thinking. So he's like feeling her up, whatever, and then she like reaches through the hole and like grabs his wiener and like pulls it through the hole, and she starts filleting him. And he's like, whoa, this is crazy. So, yeah. And then that's his experience at Live Girls. He's like, whoa, crazy. And he goes back like 3 times the next couple of days. But anyway, before all of that happens, he goes to work the next day, and his coworker, Chad, who's a real douche, gets a promotion that Davey wanted, which bums him out and makes him upset. His friend Casey is like this girl that he works with who obviously is like interested in him, and they had like a little fling but never really went anywhere. But so she's happy that he left his girlfriend, or his girlfriend left him, I guess. So that's cool. And then so he kind of confronts, after that he goes to the bathroom, and he finds out about his coworker Chad getting the promotion that he wanted, and he's bummed out. So he goes to the bathroom, and he pulls down, whatever. He sees there's like blood all in his like pants and stuff, and he's like, oh crap, I must have cut my wiener, sticking it through that hole or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, he kind of just like doesn't think too hard about it, and then he goes and he confronts his boss. And his boss is like, yeah, I gave it to Chad because we've been having sex. She doesn't say that straight up, but it's heavily implied. And she's like, maybe if you had sex with me, you could get a promotion too. And he's like, that's dumb. I'm gonna quit. And she's like, you can't quit. You're fired. So anyway, he loses his job. It's like... It's kind of crazy. Anyway, so now he doesn't have a job. Now he's whatever. He goes back to Live Girls because he can't stay away. He's like infatuated with this girl, and when he's getting there, she's leaving. He like sees her getting into a cab, so he like stops her and he's like, "Hey, I saw you earlier, and I wanted to come back and see you again. Like, what's going on?" And they like go to this other club that she works at. She's like a dancer too at this other club, and it's like a vampire club, and then they like hook up, and then she turns him into a vampire. Yeah, which involves her sucking his blood. Oh, excuse me. Ugh. It involves her sucking his blood, and then them having sex, and then he sucks her blood while they're having sex. It's very strange. I don't know if the sex is required for the vampirism to take, but that's how they do it. So, and then he starts to turn into a vampire. He starts to get hungry. He starts to want blood and stuff. There's a couple of really gross scenes. He can turn into like a bat or bat-like creature. So he starts to, do his vampire thing. And then it becomes this, like, where he wants to destroy vampire. He kind of becomes like a vampire hunter thing. There's this other character who is kind of following him. He's a New York Times reporter, and his sister and niece were both murdered, like, brutally, by his brother-in-law. And so he finds out, he's like investigating his brother-in-law started going to this Live Girls place, and then started acting funny, and then murdered his family. So he's watching the place, and he sees this kid go in. He's not really a kid, he's like in his 20s or whatever, but he sees this guy go in a couple times, and he's like, oh, okay. So he follows him, and he asks, and he interviews him and stuff. So that's how they get together, and then they figure out, like, hey, we gotta stop this place, we gotta burn it down, whatever. So that's kind of the story. I don't want to give too much away, but it is sexy vampires, and it's not, it is not for the faint of heart. It's definitely not like Twilight or anything like that. They are brutal. The sex is like it's pretty erotic. And the violence is, I mean, there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of stuff like that. So just keep that in mind if you decide to read this. This is an adult book. But anyway, like I said, I thought it was really good. I thought it was well written. I thought it was well paced. The story was fine. The characters were really good. I thought, they were pretty funny, and they all had their own little quirks and stuff. Like, Davey was a cool guy. I probably would have liked to hang out with him. Casey, I don't know what he saw in his first girlfriend, but Casey, the girl that likes him at his work, she seems cool. Like, they should get together. And I think, well, I don't want to give it away. They kind of do. Or at least it's implied that they maybe will in the future. So yeah, I do recommend it. And it was fun. And it was just a fun vampire novel. So, yeah, I give it like a 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. Good solid 3 out of 5. So anyway, Live Girls, Ray Garton. Pick it up if you want just some bloody, sexy entertainment. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this. I have a few more videos planned coming up. I'm going to continue with my Stephen King project. And yeah, and then I got a couple other things coming down the pipe. So stay tuned for more stuff like this, and like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see more stuff like this, more reviews, and more talking about books, mostly talking about books. So yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.